Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today I am going to deliver a lesson for class 11th subject zoology. Since we are studying the structure of eukaryotic cell and we have already studied about the various cell organelles, now today we will discuss about the most important structure of this eukaryotic cell, that is the nucleus. Now nucleus was first observed by Robert Brown in 1831. Later Fleming gave the name chromatin to the material of the nucleus. Now nucleus is actually the largest cell organelle and it constitutes about 25% of the cell volume. Nucleus is also called as the director of the cell, as it controls the various activities of the cell. It governs all the activities of the cell. That is why it is also known as the director of the cell. Nucleus is present in all cells except mature red blood cells, human red blood cells, and sieve cells of xylem. As you can see in this sketch, the main components of nucleus are this outer membrane known as the nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane is a double-layered membrane, and its outer surface, as you can see, ribosomes are attached to its outer layer. Then we see inside this nuclear membrane, this is known as the nucleoplasm, and embedded in this nucleoplasm we see this dense spherical structure as called as nucleolus, and we can also observe these condensed chromatin fibers, which are basically the nucleoproteins. Now you can see that this nucleus is broadly divided into 4 different parts. Number 1 is the nuclear membrane, second is the nucleoplasm, third part is the chromatin, and the fourth part is the nucleolus. Now first of all, we will discuss about this nuclear membrane, this outer boundary of this nucleus. This nuclear membrane is basically perforated membrane. You can see it contains minute pores. It is a double membrane. These two membranes enclose a space called as perinuclear space. The perinuclear space is the space between the two layers of this nuclear membrane. This nuclear membrane forms a barrier between cytoplasm and the nucleoplasm. You can see the outer membrane also bears these ribosomes. Ribosomes, you can see, are attached to the outer membrane of this nuclear membrane. This nuclear membrane has minute pores, as you can see here. These pores actually facilitate the exchange of materials like RNA, proteins, etc. between nucleoplasm and cytoplasm. Now the next part of the nucleus is what we call as nucleoplasm. Now nucleoplasm, in this region, nucleoplasm, it is actually a transparent semifluid in which chromatin material and nucleoli are embedded. It contains water, minerals, nucleoproteins, nucleotides, and enzymes like DNA polymerase and RNA polymerase. Then the third part of this nucleus is what we call as nucleoli. This nucleoli, also known as little nucleus, it was first observed by Fontana in 1781. It is actually a dense, darkly stained organelle generally eccentric in position. The contents of the nucleolus is continuous with the rest of the nucleoplasm because it does not have a boundary membrane. The nucleoli are basically the sites of active synthesis of RNA, ribosomal RNA, and also make ribosomes. Now the last part of this nucleus is this chromatin. As you can see, these fibers, condensed fibers, are called as chromatin network. This chromatin contains DNA, some basic proteins called as histones. Along with histones, there are some non-histone proteins and RNA. Now, at the time of cell division, chromatin condenses into individual rod-like structures called as chromosomes. Now, each chromosome, as you can see in this sketch here, each chromosome has a primary construction, or we call it as this centromere. This centromere holds the chromatids together. You can see these are the short arm and the long arm. It is basically a metacentric chromosome. Depending upon the position of this centromere, the chromosomes are of different types. Now this was all about the nucleus, structure of the nucleus. And in our next topic, we will study about the prokaryotic cells. Until then, goodbye.